Hello, wanted to jump on and tell you guys a little bit about what you're going to get in your puppy packs. So you're going to get a folder for your puppy in here. The first thing that you're going to get is you're going to get a little package with your microchip information. You should have already gotten this through email, and it should have already had your verification code on it. But if you haven't or you need a copy, there's a little sticker in here. You can do that, stick that anywhere on any folder or file that's important. Usually I tell people to put them on something that you're not going to throw away. This is your verification for your puppy, just kind of a little congratulations certificate. Behind the certificate is your vet records. This is specifically from my vet. I like to give everybody a copy of that. So that's that. In here, I have 2 copies of the health certificate that I have. One will be for me, one will be for you, but that's in there. The next thing that's in here is a little note. These are all kind of just like the basic stuff. A little note from Diamond Pet Food, and that's the pet food I use. Information on Trupanion, which is the complimentary health insurance that comes with your dog. The most important part of this whole entire thing is going to be this. It's going to be your puppy handout. And so I'm going to kind of go through this a little bit. Just so then that way I don't have to do it when you're picking up your puppy. It's pretty simple, okay? So, puppy chewing, puppy jumping, puppy feeding. All right, so right now I've cut down their feedings to twice a day, in the morning and then at night. Make sure when you do your feedings for your puppy, you're gonna do puppy recall, like you've seen in my videos through my Facebook. You're gonna just do the puppy like that. Even if you just like let them out of the kennel or they're just right there, you still want to do it. The biggest thing is to get them to sit. So essentially you're going to be holding their food bowl. I usually go down on one knee, and when they come at me for the food, I just go and I push them away. I just keep pushing them away, pushing them away, pushing them away. I hold the bowl until they sit, till they're giving me eye contact. That's the first step, and then I set that food down for them to eat. Now you can do it 2 different ways. You can either set it down, or what I usually recommend is, instead of setting it down, to actually hand feed them, especially in the beginning, just because of the fact that it's really great bonding. They're getting their food from you. This is just a really great way to establish pack leadership, and I just really like to tell people to do that. Potty training, obviously, I think I've already talked to most of you about this, but it walks you through this specifically. Potty training, if you're doing it with a pellet tray, that works really great. Just having them already established in some area, kind of like I do, in a little pen where you can have them go to the bathroom. Kennel use, you can obviously continue the kennel use. That's something that's really important. If you feel like you're ever going to use a dog kennel at any point in time, kennel use is something really important to do. One of the things that I tell people to do, even if you don't feel like you're going to use a kennel, is to essentially put them in a kennel in the morning and at night for a period of time. I usually like to do it either right before they eat or right after they eat. Or not right after they eat, right before they eat or after they've eaten and they've gone to the bathroom. And the reason why is because you want them still to understand that being in the kennel is okay. And just like a baby or a child, they're going to probably test you to see if they can get you to let them out of the kennel. And so when you put them in the kennel, just make sure that they stay in the kennel until they're either calm and not throwing a fit if they do choose to throw a fit, or they're sleeping, one of the two. And then if they're sleeping in their kennel, I leave them in their kennel until they wake up. So that's what you'll want to do. And then as soon as they wake up, then they're out to go to the bathroom, right? So puppies, they eat, they go to the bathroom, then they play, then they go to the bathroom again, then they sleep, then they wake up, and then they go to the bathroom, and then they play, so that's the routine. It's just like a baby, very similar to a baby cat. So 10-step puppy massage. This is kind of under the same thing as grooming. I like to kind of lump these together. I don't think grooming is in here, but it goes through the 10-step puppy massage. This is what we've been doing with them. So one of the things I like to add for people is that when you're doing this 10-step puppy massage, at least once a week, trim their nails. And right now I'm just using like a a basic nail trimmer, nothing more specific. You don't have to go buy one of the tiny little nail trimmers. You can just buy like use your regular nail trimmer. Just trim off the tip of the nail, the pointy part, essentially the part that grows out. It'll keep their nails short and also keep them in a routine of getting their nails trimmed, okay? The next thing you want to do is you're going to want to use a buzzer of some sort. You can, even if you don't have like an electric clipper, like using like my husband's electric clipper, you can also use a toothbrush. A toothbrush has a vibration to it, and the vibration is like the biggest thing, the vibration and the sound. What you're going to do is you're going to run it over the bottoms of all 4 feet. You're going to run it underneath of their chin, on the sides of their mouth, atop the bridge of their nose, and under their tail, and along the top of their back. And you're going to just do this because what it does is it continues to keep them used to the sounds and the feeling of grooming. Now, a lot of the times what happens is I do all this like grooming prep work in the beginning with our puppies. They go home at 8 weeks and then they don't get a haircut until they're like 4 months old. And so during that period of time, there's nothing that happens. And so a lot of the times dogs can get really sensitive. They'll get really sensitive on their mouth. They'll pull their feet away, right? And it just causes more stress. And so it's best if you can do that. The other thing that I tell people to do is use a blow dryer on them. Your blow dryer sounds different than my blow dryer. The groomer's dryer probably sounds different than my dryer. So use a dryer on them. Turn it on first while you're just in the room and let it just be running for a bit. That's the first step. The second step is essentially have it on, blow them a little bit. Just essentially you're helping them understand like, hey, this is an okay thing. I don't let my puppies bite at the blow dryer, and I also don't let them run away from the blow dryer. I encourage them. I say, good. That's my thing with my puppies. When they're doing something I want them to do, I'll say, come see, good. So that's what you can continue to do, all right? This talks about the zoomies, love and patience, socialization and stress. We're going to go over that a little bit later. Obedience and training. I gave you guys access to Baxter and Bella, a discount code for Baxter and Bella. I really recommend doing that, especially because of the fact a lot of times people have puppy like classes set up, but they don't start for a while, and it's pretty inexpensive. Veterinary care. So the puppies have been wormed at 5 and 7 weeks, so you don't have to worry about that. If you do feel like they might have parasites for some reason, which most likely they don't, sometimes the stress of moving and stuff can create the parasites to actually drop back into their system because they're actually stored. The eggs are stored essentially weirdly in their system. If you do feel like, oh, okay, like my puppy stool seems weird, what you can do is you can actually ask the vet to request, or you can request a fecal sample and just see. I always tell people, check and make sure before you just worm them. It's hard on their systems. Medication is hard on their systems. Medication is hard on our system. So why not make sure that they are actually needing something before you give it to them, right? Veterinarian care. So obviously you guys have the packet or the vet stuff enclosed that I've already taken them to the vet. When you go to the vet, the biggest thing that I always tell people is figure out and research what you want to give them for vaccines before you go to the vet, so you know. The two that are very, very hard on their systems, which I tell people to stay away from, is the Lyme one, and the, it's blanking me. I just missed it. It's out of my head. I'll have to tell you. If you want to know which other one is really, really bad for their systems, then let me know and I can send you a text message. But the Lyme is really, really bad. And then this other one, I actually know a lot of breeders who won't even honor their health guarantee if you give this vaccine to the puppies. Now, I don't necessarily do that, but I do like to tell people it's very hard on their systems. What I do like to tell people, though, is if you can spread the vaccines out instead of just giving them everything on one day, it's way easier on their system. And so I do tell people that. Go home instructions. This just kind of tells you what to do, what to look for on your in your home, right? Just don't throw any crazy parties. Just kind of keep your home chill and give the puppies kind of a time to warm up to you. This puppy was not raised on well water, but we do have a very high end water filtration system. It's called an e-spring, and it filters out everything. It filters out all prescription drugs, filters out chlorine, it filters out a lot of those things that most people don't filter out of their water. I really believe in the health of my water. And so all these puppies, that's what they've been drinking from the beginning, and that's what all my dogs drink. My animals drink that water. So if you notice a little bit of a runny stool, all that kind of stuff, that's normal. Blood, not normal, but runny stool, that's going to be normal for the first couple days. You can add pumpkin puree to their food a little bit if you want to try. Pumpkin puree actually does help with runny stool. Okay, puppy socialization guide. This is in here. Puppy socialization guide is essentially everything that you guys have to do between 8 weeks, which was yesterday, and 16 weeks. You have essentially the exact same amount of time that I had in the beginning with these guys to introduce them to as much as possible. Now, obviously, they've been introduced to a lot here, but I always tell people, do as much as you can. Put this on the fridge, and just when you go out, take your puppy everywhere you go. Let them hear sounds. You know, if you're sitting in the parking lot waiting for someone to come back in from the pharmacy, roll the window down, let them sit on your lap and look at the cars going by and hear the carts of the crashing of the carts, you know, a honking of the horns, you know, park on the street so they can hear the fire trucks and all that kind of stuff. And that's super, super important. If you do it between 8 and 16 weeks, it becomes normal. If you do it anytime after that, essentially their beliefs have already been established, and it's way harder to redo those. The closer to 8 weeks that you can do all these things, the better. The farther away from 8 weeks, closer to 16 weeks, the less normal it becomes. So take your puppy everywhere. I always take them everywhere. The biggest thing I always tell people is play the game. What are the odds? What are the odds a sick puppy has been here? If you went into Petco to grab a new collar because your collar doesn't fit anymore, what are the odds a sick puppy has been there? Well, it doesn't mean don't bring them into the store. That's fine, but just don't put them on the floor, right? So all four paws off the floor if you believe that the odds are high a sick puppy has been there. You go to the vet the first time, right? What are the odds a sick puppy has been there? High, really, really high. So all four off the floor, right? Bring them, just don't put them on the floor. Don't introduce them to dogs that you don't know that are totally safe, right? You know, people are always like, don't introduce them to dogs that are not vaccinated. Well, vaccinated dogs can get parvo just as easily as an unvaccinated dog. So for me, it's more of the health of the dog and the person and my belief in whether or not the dog is healthy, right? I don't mind introducing my dogs to completely unvaccinated dogs, but I know that they're healthy. So that's my biggest warning for you. If you're going to go on a walk and you're walking along the coast and the salt water is rushing up, then let your puppy run around. Let them pick up sticks and racks and see the leaves and do all that kind of stuff. Remember puppy recall. Puppy recall is something to continue. I will talk about that right now. Puppy recall is something I've been doing since 5 weeks, 4.5 weeks old, ever since I've been feeding them food. So essentially it's very established in their brain. This goes over it. It's always used for something positive. You never ever want to use puppy recall and then like throw them in the kennel. Puppy recall is something you don't want to overuse, so I use it twice a day. You can use it for food. You can also use it for treats. So amazing treats. I always tell people stay away from treats right away in the beginning and just use their dog food. Dog food is a great way to use their healthy food for training. In the beginning, they don't really even notice the difference between dog food and treats. Eventually they will, 100%, but they won't notice the difference. And so when you're doing the puppy recall, like if you keep some of the food out and you do the puppy recall and give them a treat, right? And they come and they sit and they look and they watch and they wait, right? Give them a piece of food. Now eventually the food won't work, and then what I tell people to do is just get some basic hot dogs from the store, cut a little slice off the end, and then cut that into like 4 pieces. It doesn't have to be very big, very tiny, and I throw them in my freezer. Little frozen pieces of hot dog is amazing for both puppy recall and then going into the next phase, which is the treat game. Okay, so now obviously I've been working with my puppies. I make sure that their food goes down. I make sure that my hands are in their food. I make sure that their resource guarding is something that is very just common in dogs and puppies, and make sure that I've done that established work. So one of the things that you can do to prevent resource guarding, to to help with anything is the role of the treat game, which is in here, which you're going to read over all of this stuff. But essentially, it tells you what to specifically do, and how to work this. But essentially what it does is it helps prevent resource guarding, which is where they like cling to something because they think it's like the most important thing. Okay. It also tells you how to not take stuff away from puppies. One of the biggest things that causes resource guarding in puppies is when people are taking things away from puppies all the time. The puppy picks up a sock and they're pulling the sock out of their mouth. The easiest way to get a puppy to drop something is to pick them up. If you pick them up, a lot of the times they will just drop that thing right automatically versus chasing them around and everything like that. This treat game tells you literally instructions on how to do this, but other thing that you can do is, and the picking the puppy up isn't part of the treat game, but another thing you can do is if you pick them up and they don't drop it, you can actually tip them forward, and a lot of the times they'll drop it then. If they don't, then that's when you can do the treat game, which is essentially exchanging something of more value, like a piece of hot dog, for the specific item that they have, like the sock or the shoe or the toy that is your child's, right, kind of a thing. And the last piece of paper that I have, which some of you who already came to my puppy open house have this, but this is the Who's the Pack Leader here pamphlet. So that is in your pamphlet, or that's in your pack. Okay, the next thing that you're gonna find in here is this little bag. Okay, this little bag has a very stinky blanket and a very stinky little squeaky toy that came out of their playpen with their siblings. Okay, this has mom scent on it, has puppy scent on it, and it smells like home. You don't want to wash this for like a good week, minimum at least of like 3 to 4 days. This will go in their kennel with them, even if it gets stinky, even if it's smelly, even if it has poop on it. Like, the biggest thing you don't want to do is wash it, because this is their connection to home. All right, so that's in there. The next thing you're gonna find is you're gonna find a couple different fun things that I've put in here. I have this ball. I really like this. This is Chew King. I really like these balls. These balls don't break up. They don't fall apart. I have this really fun rope toy in here specifically. The biggest thing about rope toys is I always tell people rope toys are amazing and they're fun and the dogs love them, puppies love them. Just don't leave them alone. They're not supposed to be a chew toy, right? If you need a chew toy, buy an antler, get a raw meaty bone, do that. And then the last thing that's in your puppy pack is these samples. I have 3 of these in your puppy pack. So essentially you're gonna have a decent amount. You're gonna look, right now your puppies weigh between 8 and 10 pounds-ish. So you're gonna just look, most of you guys have the bag of food already, but you're gonna just look at the feeding guide. I don't think it's actually on here. You might have to go on and look at the big bag that you'll get, but because I feed everybody together. But you're just gonna look at that, split it in half, okay? If you're gonna do training, then essentially what you're gonna do is you're gonna split the section in half. So let's just say it's a half a cup and a half a cup. Feed them a quarter of a cup in the morning with puppy recall, and then do training with the rest of the quarter cup in the next like 20 minutes to half an hour. What it does is it helps you give them nutritious treats, right, for their food. So that's in there, and I think that's it. Make sure, the last little thing that I can tell you is when you do go to the vet, you're obviously gonna, be figuring out what you want to do as far as vaccinations and stuff. They are microchipped right here. Make sure you have them scan it and make sure it works. I have not purchased a scanner yet for my business. Plan to do that just to make sure, but I like to just make sure that they're actually activated when they get inserted. Make sure that they're actually there. So I always have people do that. Just say, will you scan my puppy? This is their microchip information. Will you scan my puppy? And just make sure that the chip is actually there. So other than that, I think that's it. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Until later.